Blended Podcasts. Brought to you by Blended Audio.
Welcome back to Sound Vibes. That was the worst intro we've ever done.
Is that your Gregorian voice?
I can't do a Gregorian voice. It's terrible.
Yeah, we know.
No! Don't be mean, Navi. That's not necessary, okay?
But thanks for trying.
It was rubbish. Hey guys, welcome. It's me, that guy. I'm not using the NATE thing this week, but I just did.
You just did. Well done.
This is terrible. This is Paddy McD. He's already said hello. I still need a cup of coffee. I haven't had a cup of coffee yet.
Yeah, don't make your problems mine.
Well, it's fine. You know what? It's fine. I'm happy to make my problems your problems, and that's why we're here today, because I have a problem with PR.
Oh boy.
And I'm DIYing because I don't have money.
All right, cool. Well, then you've come to the right person.
Yeah, well, dude, I need help. I'm a lost fart musician who is struggling from the bottom. I can make a brand look, I would say, all right. You know, I'm not going to blow smoke where it doesn't need to be blown. But I need advice. What is the thing, and I'm just going to jump straight into this. What is the thing in content visually that is going to tell my audience, hey, that's pretty cool. I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
How do I get more of that? What is the secret? What is the visual trigger? What grabs people? Is it memes? Because if it's memes, then I'm good. Because I can do memes. But other than that, you know, I can polish a turd. It's still a turd.
Yeah.
What do I do to make it a diamond?
Well, look, it's no secret. It's what your eyes tell you. Same as what your ears tell you.
What if my eyes don't work well?
All right. Well, then we need to unpack this.
Then let's unpack this.
Cool. All right. So today's episode title is basically media. If you must do the DIY approach, how do you go about doing it? All right.
All right.
So to get this ball rolling, let's start with content. As a creative person, you are responsible for creating content. You have to be productive. As a musician, you have to write songs, record them, release them, write, record, release, write, record, release. That is the cycle. If you're not doing that, you don't really have anything to offer, and media is not going to be of much use to you.
Whoa. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. I've seen projects go from literally less than half a song just on posting random, just visually stimulating stuff and grabbing the attention of all these people, and they haven't released a thing to do with their music yet.
But what's the point of attracting that interest if you don't have something to sell?
But what if you do, it's just not ready yet?
Yeah, well, I think that comes to strategy, which we're definitely going to talk about later as well.
All right.
But I think let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
You know, you as a creative person, you have something that you want to put out into the public space, and the long-term plan is to, well, hopefully make a living off of it, or at least a partial living off of it.
The dream.
Yeah. I mean, in this day and age, a lot of creative people have to rely on multiple income streams in order to make ends meet. But the long story short is, the more productive that person or that group of people happens to be, the more likely they're going to earn money and, you know, move on to the next step in their career. So getting the exposure in order to attract those would-be patrons or clients or whatever the case may be, you have to give something that's of value. And doing half a song and releasing that and hoping to now capture a massive audience, but not to have a follow-through on that song, is frankly a bit stupid. You know,
it's a bit redundant, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's short-sighted. So I think what you see a lot of people doing when you reference that is they actually have a bigger project almost ready or waiting in the wings, and this is part of their rollout strategy.
Right.
So,
Okay. So
yeah,
it does come down to a bigger picture, a master plan.
it has to. So let's get back to the DIY. All right. So you as a creative person, let's call it a band. You've written some music. Maybe you've recorded some, maybe you haven't. So either you want to get some attention at your live shows
Sure.
that are coming up, or you want attention on your album or EP or whatever the case is that you're about to release.
Definitely album. Yeah. So, album sales aren't really like a crazy thing to punt towards, what I've
Yeah.
noticed. But merch, dude.
Well, the thing is, the album is the billboard to the merch.
Yes.
So without the album, it's like your merch might look cool, but how do people know they care about you? Because your social relevance hasn't been established yet.
Okay, so how do I then, hypothetical example, I have a single
Uh-huh,
and I have 1 or 2 t-shirt designs
uh-huh,
and they're not great.
uh-huh.
They're sort of average.
All right.
My song that I have now released is completely not captivating whatsoever. It's bad, and in most cases you'd go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
But what can I do to save that in case this is what I've got now, this is what I've released, this is what I put out there? How do we rescue this? How do we go and post something now that's actually going to captivate people to like be like, hey, we did release this thing. It is what we have now, but
Nate, stop. Can I be incredibly blunt?
do it.
Don't do it.
Exactly. That's what I was looking for. That's exactly the answer I was looking for.
I mean, look, if you're not ready, just don't.
Yes.
And I find that, look, I deal the majority of my time with the DIY crowd. All right. And oftentimes people will come to me and they say, well, this is what we want to do. And it's pretty much exactly what you've just described.
Exactly.
And I'll tell them, like pretty much diplomatically, like, guys, you know, it's a good effort, but come back when you have more, because I can't actually help you at this stage. Come back when we can actually have a rollout strategy. So let's maybe fast forward a few steps in your creative career. All right, you've recorded more than just a single.
Now it's an EP.
Or you've established a fairly good live performance set. Maybe you haven't recorded anything yet. Doesn't mean you can't do media.
Yeah.
But you want to get your name out there and you feel that you're ready.
Totally.
So the first step really is you need a good picture of your band.
Yeah, a good one, like a studio with a professional tog. No cell phone camera nonsense here.
Yeah. Look,
Unless you can
basically,
Photoshop it.
yeah, like basically, don't even mess around. You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of bands take a little bit too seriously the music part that they neglect the rest.
Yeah, well, the
And-
media, essentially.
Yeah. And if one considers what media consists of, well, it's audio visual, but I would rather turn it around and say it's visual audio.
You twisting words here, and it's confusing.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
All right, so when people talk about audio visual, they always put audio first. Maybe it's alphabetic, maybe it just rolls off the tongue better. I don't know. But the fact is, think about the science of it, all right? Your ear takes a longer amount of time to process information than your eye does, all right?
Okay.
So
Alright.
what you see, within a split second, your brain is interpreting that information into something that evokes a feeling, or, you know, there's like some kind of mental process happening which tells you good, bad, you know. It's very simple. So if, in the case of media, you have a photograph of your band, which if you're doing media, you need something visual. So usually it's a photograph of the band.
Okay, but hang on. What if the people in the project, in the band, none of them have the eye that you require in order to get a quality photo or a quality product or quality anything. They haven't got an eye because they are not good with that sort of thing. Like, they're good with their music.
Yeah.
But they're not good with that. So, again, that goes back to DIY.
All right. I understand the question. If you have difficulty with that, you're going to have difficulty, period. All right? So at some point, a band needs to acknowledge that they don't have the skills within the band
Right.
to achieve this result. Get help. All right. So, like, I mean, look, getting a passable photograph of a band is not rocket science. All right. So the kinds of images I often get faced with is something that someone took at a live concert. All right.
Yeah, I've
so
seen
the
a lot
band
of
is
that.
like, cool. Well, here's a photograph of us. Here, use that. But in terms of the quality of the image, it's a really poor image. So, like, just a couple of tips is, if you're going to send a live photograph of a show you've done as a media representation of yourself, number one is every band member in the photograph? 9 times out of 10, no. Is every band member who is in the photograph face visible? 9 times out of 10, no.
Like, are their faces well lit? Can you see them?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Lighting. What is the lighting?
Yeah.
Is it flash photography? Yuck. What is the setting? Is it a pub with, like, a TV screen in the background and a flippin', well, I won't talk branding because that's going to be, oops.
Yeah.
But XYZ beer poster and, cluttered and ugly. So a lot of people send a photo just because it's a photo, but often it just looks awful.
There's like no effort value.
Yeah, and let's face it, me as a person who runs a website, which is news and media, and I cater to an international audience, I don't want to put our worst foot forward. I want to put our best foot forward. So I have my own quality to keep in mind.
Of course, yeah.
Like, if I get a bad image,
You're not going to post it?
I'm not going to post it.
Yep.
Like, it reflects on on our discerning ability as being poor.
Yes.
So, yeah, basically, if you find that, press people are saying, please get us a better image, take the time, find someone in your social circle who has a little bit of savvy. Like, there's so many graphic designers and photographers, and it doesn't have to be a pro person. It just has to be someone that's slightly more discerning than what you obviously are.
Okay. Wait. Stop
Yeah.
right there.
All right.
Okay. How about if would it be an exception if the photo was taken not necessarily while they're busy playing?
Yeah. All right.
But if it's like, say for example, after the gig on the stage, they've lined up, and the in-house photographer for the event that night goes, "Hey, let's get a photo of you guys," and if it's all right, is that still possible?
Yeah, of course it's possible. But my rule of thumb, broadly speaking, is don't send a live photograph for press. Because
Okay.
it usually just has too many problems.
All right.
So, it's not to say it won't be used, it's not to say it can't be used, and it's not to say it will always be ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see bands like Iron Maiden and Rammstein, then it's like live photos are like the bomb. But I mean, this is a very well-established and set up thing where they have only the best of the best designing their sets and taking the pictures.
Yeah,
So
those
it's
sets
like-
are ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's where the live photograph actually sells the band. But I'm afraid a lot of the stuff we get at local and amateur level, it does the band minus justice.
Injustice.
Injustice. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Speaking of language,
Yeah.
nice segue right there.
Yeah.
A lot of guys will have a social media profile of sorts, and their info would be just, I don't know, just the language that they're speaking is either just too generic,
Yes.
or it doesn't scream interesting.
All
It's
right.
just like, hey, we're this alternative band from Cape Town. We play really cool alternative music. Cool, bro. Like, that doesn't sell.
No.
That's crap.
All right. What we are talking about now is prose. And I'm not talking pros and cons. I'm talking prose as in the use of language. Prose is about what is the tone of language that we've chosen to use to deliver our message. All right? So I find that a lot of bands, unfortunately, they oversell themselves.
Yeah, don't oversell, guys, please.
So when a band submits information, which they're hoping to get published, they've often taken the stance or the prose from themselves who created that written content like a big sales pitch. like you're really going to score big, like attending the show or listening to this album. They over embellish. It's like, and they speak about themselves in the third party.
It's like putting 4 sugars in your coffee. And you only need like 1 or 2.
Yeah. And I must admit, I don't publish stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's like no one wants to oversell something that doesn't deserve the credibility it's otherwise getting.
Yeah.
Because it discredits the distributor of content and it discredits the band.
Yes.
You don't always see like Iron Maiden saying, "Oh, we're so awesome," and da.
So stop singing your own praises and get real, please.
Yeah. So that's
basically...
the information that you supply about your band is most useful to the public and the press if it's based on fact.
Cool. So I'm going to go home now and I'm going to go and write down all the facts about every project I ever did. I'm going to go update my bios and my Instagrams and my everything. I'll be like, we're just a cool band, man. Nothing special.
Not like we're the best band.
We're just an XYZ band.
Yeah.
And we have this new single out. Check it out. It's right here. Check out our merch. Yeah.
We're kind of straying off topic. Well, no, we're not straying off. We're over amplifying certain parts. Just to break it down to simple basics, it's like stick with the facts about your career. If you are still a new band, admit that you're a new band. Tell people we're a new band. We're excited to be doing what we're doing. Not like, oh, we're the pioneers of this movement. Blah 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 blah.
Does it sell though?
What?
We are a new band.
Yeah, but look, in my line of work, content, people are always looking for something fresh. People are looking for what they haven't yet experienced.
Fair point.
So new is always good, actually, because it's an opportunity to discover something.
Okay,
so when bands sell themselves as this big look, most people see through that nonsense, like
almost immediately.
Yeah. It's whatever, it's not worth my time. But if you're more honest and down to earth about who you are, where you are, why you are, then like people feel more engaged. They want to know your story. Where's it going to go from here?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're already singing praises to yourself, then it's like, oh, well, the story's ended. It's like, or it's clearly nonsense.
Well, I suppose if you've got that waxed and you aren't overselling and you aren't underselling, you've kind of like towing the line of that sweet spot.
And look, don't get me wrong, sing your own praises where they are due. So, like I see a lot of bands will often always say, oh, we shared the stage with, all right, well, I'm going to use an example. Mind Assault had the privilege to play with Lamb of God as support in 2014 when that band did the South African tour. So if we wanted to overpraise, we would have said, oh, we shared the stage with Lamb of God,
Yeah.
And that's clearly an oversell. We did not share the stage with Lamb of God. We were local support. That was that. When you say you shared the stage, it's kind of trying to place yourself as an equal with, where clearly you are not. And people just don't receive that information well because it doesn't seem honest, it doesn't seem sincere. So a lot of bands say, oh, we shared the stage with the likes of blah, 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 blah. And they play at a festival where they didn't even play on the same day or the same stage as the headliner, but they'll still say that they shared the stage with that headliner. It's like, a lot of people will see through this as nonsense, overbuilding yourself, and it's like, ugh, really? But how we would phrase it is say, we were fortunate enough to support Lamb of God on their South African tour.
Yeah.
And that's honest, it's sincere, and people say, that's believable. Wow, this band has an incredible story.
Right.
We want to hear more about what they've achieved. So sing praises to your achievements, but don't blow them out of proportion, because people see through that very quickly.
Okay.
And if they take an interest, now they've seen you claim to share the stage with XYZ. Now they come and see you live and they're like, wow, this is really underwhelming. Because you've oversold yourself. Whereas you sell yourself as, you're on this journey, this rise. Then they come and they see you and it's like, oh man, like this band's going to go places. And then they'll talk about you. So, or at least that's the way I've experienced this journey as a performer and as a press person.
So, moral of the story here would be, don't oversell and undersell, overdeliver.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, going back to the whole language thing, there are other aspects to this that we haven't really discussed that I would like to just go over briefly. Your language in your social media approach.
All right. Good question. Look, each creative person or entity has their agenda.
Yes.
So some bands want to be badass, obnoxious, like in your face, challenging authority. All right. Well, then you have to kind of like set the tone of your language that you use to reflect that. So you have to seem edgy and, dangerous or like whatever you want to call it. But there's a difference between being over the top and tasteful. So I think a lot of bands run the risk of being over the top, where it's actually just, like people sitting there like, nah, it's not for me. But my kind of philosophy is keep profanity to a minimum.
Yes.
Don't not use it, but use it tastefully.
Yeah.
And then I think just how you structure your language. Some guys want to use like, let's call it like more street language or like slang and stuff like that. Do that, but then keep it consistent. Incorporate it into your brand. But then other bands want to be more sophisticated or more, friendly or public accessible. So you have to kind of adjust your language to that agenda.
Yeah, if you're using a language one day, you can't be using a completely different language the next.
Exactly.
Because you lose your consistency and people start losing interest.
Yeah, and I mean, we learned in our early days of social media that only one person in the band should actually be running the social media account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you find that we're all different people.
Yeah.
And as much as we might identify with the core purpose or agenda of the band, we're still going to approach it in our own unique way.
Yeah. And
so it's best to assign one person to be the voice piece.
the last thing you need is two people speaking two completely different languages if they haven't really, if you haven't sat down and gone through your brand ethos.
Yeah. And especially if you're dealing with crisis. Because oftentimes a band finds itself in a situation where, like, music and art can be a bit of a political space and egos and whatnot. So people often get into like a tiff.
Of course, yeah.
And when they get into a tiff, then it's like, well, now everyone in the band wants to have their say, but they're using the official account.
And it gets emotional, and then people get rude, and then it just gets ugly, and that's when people start tuning out.
Yeah. So to kind of conclude the pros and language, like find one voice and assign that responsibility to preferably one person, unless it can be proven that more than one person can be disciplined enough to maintain that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good advice.
So that's part of the DIY.
So all that stuff you can do yourself. You don't need a PR agent for that.
No.
This is just simple,
And I think like in terms of reach, I mean, now we have to talk about strategy. So it's like, at what point do you make this decision to start doing this work. And strategy, what does that mean? It means kind of having a roadmap of getting to where you want to be with a step-by-step and sometimes a little bit of a fallback plan if this step doesn't work out, and so on and so forth. So you find that, let's use the example of an album release. So you've done all this work, you've recorded the album, and now you want to release the thing. A lot of guys just go on Facebook and say, there, we're done, good job, here it is, enjoy. But that's not a strategy.
I think we need to dedicate an entire episode
on
strategy alone, because that sounds like a very deep topic.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're out of time.
So what, we're going to do a part 3 on...
We have to do a part 3 now. I mean, we've already set it up.
All right.
I mean, we've done all of this, so yeah, I'm excited for a part 3. If you guys are enjoying what you're hearing, check out more Sound Vibes if you've missed a previous episode on Blended Audio. And thanks so much for listening. We will be back with you next week with another episode of Sound Vibes.
Sound Vibes.
Sound Vibes.
Good. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for listening to us ramble on about all things music and sound here on Sound Vibes, produced with the generous assistance of Blended Podcasts, brought to you by Blended Audio.